But there's a little bit of relief for ANC staff who have received some of their outstanding salaries after not being paid for several months. Some have received their December and November salaries, while others were paid only for November. The ANC has been struggling to pay staff since August, citing cash flow issues. For more on this, we are joined by ANC Staff Committee Chairman, Mvusi Mdala. Mr. Mdala, thank you so much for your time this morning. What is the latest? We understand that salaries for November were being paid from the 22nd of December. We believe that would be paid only in part. Has that been paid in full, and what's the latest with December as well?
Good morning, and to Newsroom viewers. Thanks for having us. The salaries that have been paid so far is of November. Some, not everyone has been paid November salary, and then everyone has not been paid a December salary, and then that one has been paid also. It just not make that much difference because it goes to all the debts that the staff members are having.
I mean, exactly that. As much as staff members have been getting back paid from, the start of December, but ultimately these are staff members who have gone into serious debt. They've seen, their houses taken away from them and other things like that. What's the general sense like between ANC, amongst ANC staff members, irrespective of this payments or these payments that have come in this month?
The staff of the ANC is very disappointed with the treatment of the leadership that is doing to them. You must remember, this thing is not only about salaries. This is about the no increment for over 3 years. It's about the Provident Fund that has not been paid. It's about some of the issues that we have raised in our memorandum that we submitted on the 15th of June. That also the question of no grading policy, there's no grading in the ANC, there's no levels in terms of payment. And then those are the issues that we are much more concerned. It's about the values of the ANC that are being eroded by the current leadership. We are much more worried about that as a staff of the ANC, that the current leadership that we have is not a caring leadership. They lack that humanness, and then they are treating its staff members in moral and in humane way. We are worried about that more than anything, even more than salaries, but the attitude of the leadership.
Yeah, and I mean, we have seen this coming, Mr. Mdala. I mean, the current leadership have said that the Political Party Funding Act is what's caused a lot of the issues when it comes to payments of staff. But we've seen this coming. I mean, over the last 2 years, there's been constant problems when it comes to paying staff at the ANC. It doesn't seem like, indeed, that is the cause. Where do you see this ending? Is there a light at the end of the tunnel?
We hope that, we will continue to hope that there is an end at the end of the tunnel. There's the light at the end of the tunnel. As we are next year, 2022, we want to use that year to make sure that what we are experiencing today will never be experienced by any staff member of the ANC in moving forward. And then the question of party funding is not the main contributor to this. Because our view is that even when it comes to that, you can't have a party that is being funded by people who are not prepared to be known. Because what is being advanced is that because of the Party Funding Act, those who are contributing to the ANC, they don't want to be known. It makes us to be much more worried. Much more worried. I think we are determined to contribute to make sure that you've got leadership that is going to manage the finances of the ANC in a better way. And also, we have people who are contributing more willing, because you remember we've got the question of state capture. If you've got people who don't want to know that have been funding and continue wants to fund and they don't want to be known, it must create a worry to all ANC members in general.
I mean, but this Political Party Funding Act was signed in by, of course, he's the President of South Africa, but he's the ANC President as well. It kind of seems like a shot in the foot by the President of the ANC.
Yes, that's our concern, because I think on the first month, this has become effective on the 1st of April, by end of April 2021, the ANC could not pay our salaries on time. And then there should have been a proper planning and then understanding what impact this act is going to have on the future of the ANC in terms of making sure it's able to meet its financial obligations. And then it seems that there was no serious thought about it, because less than a year, and then we can see that we are unable to cope with what we have passed in Parliament, because remember, we are the majority party in government, and therefore we can't pass pieces of legislation that are having a negative impact on us as a governing party.
You speak, Mr. Mdala, of 2022 and say that you're hoping that there will be a change, or you're planning on there being a change. Now, apart from this 15 million rand that this donation has come in, which has assisted in staff getting paid in part for up to November and nothing at all for December, what do you think that change will be, and how do you think it will come about? As at the moment, it looks like if already December's out of reach, I can't imagine that January and February will be much better at the moment as it stands.
Yeah, December is out of reach. We are worried about January. And then must remember, we experienced this non-payment for 4 months towards the end of the year, when even schools were busy writing exams, and therefore the children of the ANCs experienced that problem. And also now there's no certainty about January in terms of paying school fees and paying transport for them to go to school. We are worried about that. The change that I think we're talking about is the change of leadership, because it has been proven beyond reasonable doubt that the current leadership is unable to lead the ANC in a proper way. Therefore, next year it's a conference year. Therefore, I think that our contribution is to make sure, as members of the ANC, that we've got a new leadership that is more caring and then have more capacity in terms of leading the ANC.
I don't know if you can let us in, Mr. Mdala, on perhaps who that might be, who would be more caring and be able to turn this ship around.
There are many capable ANC members who can lead the ANC, but in our view, I think the current leadership, honestly, I think if we want to renew the ANC, rebuild the ANC, the current leadership, I think more than 70 of them, they not need to be re-elected in the coming conference. There are many capable ANC members who can do that. We are not short of leaders who are able and having capacity, who are competent, because this one, I think they lack consciousness in terms of leading the ANC.
Let's talk about some measures that have been put in place across the board, across the world since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, but that the ANC hasn't, and that's staff retrenchments or salary cuts. Of course, you don't want people to not be employed, but if the way it stands at the moment, Mr. Mdala, people are hanging on a hope of a thread that they're going to get paid. Perhaps if they were retrenched, they would have been able to find other jobs or other means of incomes. Is that perhaps a possibility that you are willing to bring to the table?
That possibility is unavoidable. When our economy is experiencing the challenges that we are experiencing, and also as an organization we're experiencing that is not available, that we are going to understand. And therefore, when that is presented to us, I think we're going to debate and negotiate better packages for those that will be affected by that. I think any worker, when its employers experiencing serious financial problems, such issue of downsizing are understood, although that are not welcome, but are understood. Therefore, I think even as ANC staff members, we understand that the reality, that the possibility of it taking place. And we are correct that it is going to be better if you are given what is due to you, and so that you can begin to look for other employment somewhere else. Although we know that the economy of the country is not doing good, is continuously shedding jobs. In the economy, the rate at its growth is not creating jobs, but I think that when you have been retrenched, you've got no other option but to look for another job.
Mr. Mdala, what next for the ANC committee, staff committee in particular? Where to from here?
From here, immediately we open in January, we're going to convene as staff members and say where we are now, and then what is the other ways of intensifying our struggle to make sure that our conditions of work, they improve. And then we're going to discuss that and come up with other ways that will make sure that we put pressure on the current leadership to meet our demands. Remember, we presented a memorandum to them on the 15th of June 2021. Till to date, we have not received any response. Therefore, I think the last option that we are going to consider, is going to the court. But unfortunately, you know that as staff members, we are not getting paid. We don't have money to go to court. You need money to pay for lawyers to take up your case, because that is within the laws of the country. We won't be doing anything that is untoward.
Mr. Mdala, I wonder what ANC staff members who have been paid this month will be eating, because, of course, we've mentioned that there's a backlog in debt that a lot of them will still have to settle. But I ended there for this morning. Thank you so much for your time, for making time for us, especially on Christmas morning. That was the ANC Staff Committee Chairperson, Mvusi Mdala, speaking to us about that non-payment issue that seems to be getting settled, sort of. We'll see how the rest of the year will turn out in 2022.